Hi everyone. We'll be starting shortly, so stay by your screen and we'll be back with you. Thank you. Hi, good morning everyone. Probably evening for some of you. Yes, my name is Ash and I'm from Wiley. I'm your host for today. Welcome and thank you for joining us for this session, Author Services, Tools to Support Authors Submitting Their Manuscripts to Wiley. So just before we start, a few housekeeping rules. Okay. So this session is being recorded and you will receive an email with a link to the recording as well as a certificate of attendance within the next 24 hours. So we want this to be as interactive as possible, though it's an online webinar. But do put in your questions in the control pane to ask any questions, and we'll be pausing during the presentation to answer any of those, and then at the end of the presentation as well. So you can also download a copy of the presentation and any other resources that we have uploaded in the handouts pane of your control panel. So with that, I will introduce our speaker for today, Elizabeth Madsen, and she is the Senior Marketing Manager on the Research Marketing team at Wiley, based out of the Boston office, so that's an evening for her. So she has been with Wiley for 11 years and is currently focused on products that improve the author and researcher experience from submission through to publication. So before I call upon her, let's do a quick poll. So we want to know how often do you utilize Wiley Online Library? So let us do a quick poll. So you'll be able to see the poll and you feel free to, respond. So then we get a sense of, our audience here with us today. So I'll just wait for a couple of seconds before I close the poll while people respond. Okay, so I see that most people have responded. So I'll close the polls now and share the results. So we're seeing 34% of our attendees have never utilized Wiley Online Library, so you're at the right place. And we have got 23% that utilize Wiley Online Library weekly, and then 25% monthly. Quarterly, we have 15%, and yearly, we have about 3%. So that's a good sense of the audience that we have. So Elizabeth, over to you.
All right. Just want to make sure you can see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm Elizabeth Madsen. I'm a marketing manager on Wiley's researcher marketing team. Our job is to promote Wiley's products and services directly to researchers and authors. We can support you at all stages of your publication journey, from searching for research on Wiley Online Library to finding a journal through submission and peer review, and to publication and promotion of your published articles. So I'm going to talk through a selection of the products and services that Wiley offers before and after submission, and I'm also happy to answer any questions. So WileyAuthors.com is our home for all of our author resources, as well as where an accepted author can log in and track the status of their article. The site hosts resources for every step of publication, as well as info on new services and pilot programs. It also includes our peer review resources, which tell you about the different types of peer review, how to become a peer reviewer, and how to get training or learn to conduct a peer review. And there are resources for book authors and book reviewers as well. So these are all publicly accessible sites, so anyone can use them to help themselves with the publishing process, and the resources available directly on the site are all free. One of the tools we link to from wileyauthors.com is our Journal Finder tool. This is a new free tool that's currently in development to help authors find the right journal for their manuscripts. So you can copy and paste your abstract or a description of your manuscript into the tool, and it will analyze the text and suggest relevant Wiley journals back to you. You can also filter results by keyword, subject area, or whether the journal offers open access, or you can just search through Wiley's journals by title to see the key info on each one. On our wileyauthors.com site, you will also find our webinar series linked to across the site, which includes free recorded webinars from subject area experts on lots of topics, from how to get published, promoting your research, finding the right journal, and submitting your manuscript to a new journal after rejection. We also post regular free content, including videos and helpful infographics on our blog, the Wiley Network. That's wiley.com/network. There are hubs for content for researchers, editors, and society leaders as well, where articles are regularly posted from Wiley employees, researchers, as well as industry leaders outside of Wiley. So we have a number of tools specifically for helping researchers prepare and submit their articles, and I'll talk through a few of those. One is through our Adapron brand. It's called manuscripts.io, which is a free tool to help authors managing the writing process, collaborate with co-authors, and it's designed specifically for authors of scientific articles. It can help you manage your citations and format your paper through automated templates, including templates for specific journals and their formatting requirements. You can also embed math, figures, video, and audio directly into your manuscript file while you write it. Another authoring tool is Authoria, which is a free online writing tool, also through our Adapron brand, as well as a preprint repository. So you can write your article in the tool and then share it as a preprint while you're looking for a journal to publish it in. It also features under review, where you can share it as a preprint while it's under review at a number of Wiley journals specifically before it's accepted as or published. And you can track the status of your paper as it goes through peer review directly on Authoria. Preprints on Authoria are assigned a DOI, or a digital object identifier, and are immediately fully citable, so you can easily share your research while you're waiting for it to be published. Another option available to you when you're preparing your article is Wiley Editing Services. Wiley Editing Services offers a range of services, including English language editing, translation, figure formatting, journal recommendation services, manuscript formatting, illustration, and graphical abstract design. In the past year, Wes has supported over 6,000 authors and worked on over 9,000 manuscripts. The most popular service is our language editing service, which has 3 different levels. The editing service is the same at all different price points, but with the premium service, you also receive things like free manuscript formatting for the requirements of your selected journal. If for any reason your manuscript is rejected for language or grammar grounds, we will re-edit it for free. All of these article prep services help you get your paper into the best shape for submission and increase your chances of acceptance. This next slide has some examples, but you can visit wileyeditingservices.com and see descriptions of each service, workflows, pricing, and samples for all of those paid services. Another new initiative that we have that launched about 1.5 years ago is called Free Format Submission, which is based directly on feedback from authors that they wanted fewer submission requirements when submitting to our journals. So as you probably know, authors often have to follow a set of strict requirements around formatting for every journal that they submit to. And it can take, if it takes multiple tries for your article to be accepted, that means you may be reformatting your manuscript multiple different times, which takes a significant amount of time. Over 300 Wiley journals are now offering free format, which means they've simplified their formatting requirements for submission and only ask authors to format their manuscripts specifically for the journal after acceptance. The number of journals that offer free format is growing constantly, so we expect that number to increase quite a bit in this next year. On a similar theme as free format, simplifying the submission process, we recently launched Research Exchange, which is our new submission platform that we're really excited about. Rex, as we call it, is an intelligent, streamlined, much improved submission platform for authors. Typically, when you submit through one of the traditional manuscript systems, you have to copy and paste the data from your manuscript and kind of work through a not very user-friendly experience. So Rex changes that by reading the information from your article and pulling out the key information that you can just confirm on screen within the context of your paper before submitting. We launched our first journal on the platform in 2019, and there's now close to 200 journals that use Rex for submission, and more in the process of migrating every single week. You can visit wileyauthors.rex to see the list of journals that are offering submission through Rex right now. If you aren't accepted at your first choice journal, we have 2 services to help you find a different journal and make the resubmission process easier. More than half of our journals are part of a transfer network where editors can recommend that you transfer your manuscript to a more suitable Wiley journal if your topic isn't quite the right fit for theirs. If the manuscript doesn't receive a recommendation directly from the editor, we also have a tool called the Transfer Desk, which is an intelligent mapping tool that uses machine learning technology to analyze the manuscript and identify suitable alternate Wiley journals. Both of these services are optional, but if you decide to take up the transfer invitation, the resubmission process is streamlined for you, so you can easily resubmit to a new journal without starting over from scratch. Before we move on to services around publishing your article, I thought we'd take a break for questions. So Ash, do we have any questions?
Yes, so I think a couple of people who wanted to know, is the Wiley editing service, are they free or chargeable for researchers?
The Wiley editing services do have a price associated with them. There are different tiers of services and different price points that you can see on the Wiley Editing Services website. All the services that, for all the resources I'm talking about that are on our Author Services website are free, but the Wiley Editing Services portion of services do have a price associated with them.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's all for now. Yeah, okay. There are no more questions. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, we can move on to the next section. So after your manuscript has been accepted, you can log into our Author Services dashboard on wileyauthors.com to track your article through production and publication, sign your copyright license, and make any open access payments if necessary, as well as view article metrics like citations after the article has been published. So you will get an invitation to register or log in after your accepted article has been received by production at Wiley. And then you can log in anytime to see past and current articles, see their citation counts, or share your article. During the production process, we've also launched an online HTML proofing system, which replaces the older PDF-based process, so authors can mark up their manuscripts and see editor notes in one place online. When it comes time for you to sign the copyright license for your article, that can be done directly in Author Services using our online tool, and it's then stored in a repository with your account so you can view and access it at any time if you need it in the future. After publication, we have a number of tools and products for promoting your article. So within Wiley Editing Services, we have a suite of article promotion services as well. So this includes video creation, video abstracts. So those are 2 to 4 minute long animated videos, which can showcase your research in an accessible way. Those have been shown to have a big impact on accesses and citations. Articles with video abstracts receive 154% more clicks than articles from the same issue without them. We have additional other digital assets like infographics, which are a great way to synthesize your research in an accessible and engaging way, and perfect for sharing on social media and with your networks as well. So Wiley Editing Services, the promotional tools can help you get the digital tools you need to promote your research to a wider audience. There's a few examples here, but you can visit wileyeditingservices.com to get more details and pricing estimates for each of these services. Additionally, some of our journals are participating in a pilot where the final articles published in the journal are also published directly on ResearchGate and accessible to ResearchGate users. So you can easily share your research on ResearchGate without worrying about copyright restrictions or spending time responding to requests individually. Our pilot is currently in the first phase with 17 open access journals, but in the next few months, we're launching the second phase of the pilot, which will include 85 subscription and hybrid open access journals. So ResearchGate users with access through their institutions will be able to access the full text final articles directly on ResearchGate without needing to authenticate their access or leave the site. So keep an eye out for that in the next couple months. On our author services website, wileyauthors.com, we have a number of recommendations for article promotion, including this toolkit, which helps researchers figure out how they can get their articles seen, read, and cited. So it shows you 9 different ways you can promote your research. Within the Author Services dashboard, authors can also generate a unique sharing link to give anyone free access to a full text version of their article. So that allows you to share your published article with an unlimited number of people, whether on your personal website or on social media. We also partner with Kudos, which is a website where authors can share their articles alongside plain language summaries, links to additional resources, additional explanations, etc., and then measure the effects of those efforts. Wiley authors can get a free Kudos account, and if they're registered with Wiley Author Services, you also get an access to an enhanced dashboard that includes weekly full text download numbers for your article. So that's freely available. And lastly, I just wanted to go over some tips before you submit if you're thinking of publishing your first article and walk you through those steps. So our website, Wiley Online Library, can be found at onlinelibrary.wiley.com, and that's where all of our content from our 1,600 journals is available. On Wiley Online Library, you can search for journals by subject area or by name, and you'll see the same structure for each of our journal homepages. So this is an example where you can see the names of the editors, the impact factor, click through to the latest issue, see highlighted news for the journal. There's a button on the right-hand side for you to submit your manuscript. This will take you to the online submission system, and that's where you kick off the process of uploading your manuscript and the details around it to submit it. Many journals across publishers use the same online submission system. Scholar One is one of the most popular. There's also Editorial Manager and Wiley Research Exchange, which I mentioned earlier, among other ones. Every journal homepage will also feature author guidelines under the Contribute menu. It's really important to review the author guidelines to make sure your submission is following the journal's instructions and including all the right components. Under the About section, you can also see the journal's aims and scope, which gives you a clear description of what type of research the journal publishes. It's also really important to read the aims and scope to make sure your manuscript will be a good fit. This is true of all journals across publishers, not just Wiley. And most journals Certainly all the ones on Wiley's platform will let you read at least one issue for free if you don't have access through your institution, so you can get a sense of what kind of articles and what kind of research the journal publishes. So that about wraps it up. As I've mentioned, if you're looking for more info, you can find all of these services and general information for authors on wileyauthors.com. There's a lot of step-by-step instructions to submitting your manuscript. And I'm also happy to answer any questions that you have now. Ash, do we have any more questions in the chat?
Yes, we do. So I've got one question. So is there a list of journals without publication fees? Or how much is the publication fees for authors coming from LMICs?
Yeah, well, some of our journals are gold open access journals, which means that they may have a fee to publish, an article processing charge to publish your article open access. If you look on wileyauthors.com, there is an open access section, and you can see all of our gold open access journals. But we do have hundreds of journals that are subscription journals where there is no fee to publish. Or there may be an optional open access option where you can choose to publish your article open access, but it's certainly not mandatory. We also have open access accounts and arrangements with some institutions in some countries where your open access fees may be covered for you. So you can find information on what countries those are and which institutions are included on wileyauthors.com as well. But there are certainly many hundreds of journals where there is no publication fee.
Yeah, that was actually a question that came in from a few people. So I think you answered that. Sorry, so do you mean that the license, I mean, basically it includes some of the open source, open access journals as well? I mean, do they need to pay for those open access?
Yes, so our gold open access journals do generally have an article publication fee associated with publishing in those journals, but we have many journals that are either a subscription or what we call hybrid open access, where you have the choice to publish your article subscription only or open access, and in those cases, that article processing fee is optional.
Right. Okay. There's another question. So if a person is a first-time author and a student, can they publish independently, or they need another person to verify as a first author?
That's a good question. I think that really depends on the journal and the article. There are certainly articles published in many of our journals that have a single author. I would say it's probably more the norm to have multiple authors on one journal, but there's no rule against publishing independently and submitting an article where you're the sole author. That's definitely totally fine to do. But I would also take a look at the specific journals that you're interested in and see what kind of articles they publish and read their author guidelines and all of that.
Okay, thank you. And we've got quite a few down the line. So there's one, it's after submission, how long will it take to publish a manuscript on Wiley?
That can really vary quite a bit by journal. It depends how long the peer review process is for that journal, which can vary quite a bit by subject area. And then once the article is accepted, how quickly you go through the copy editing process to get them ready to publish your article can vary substantially. So if there's a specific journal that you're interested in, I recommend seeing if you can email the editorial office. Their contact info will be on their Wiley Online Library homepage, and you can ask specifically for that journal and get a sense there. But yeah, it really varies quite substantially across journals and subject areas.
Okay. And we've got the next question, say that it it's regarding the Wiley translation service. There is only acceptance of several languages like French, Japanese, Chinese, but what if I want to translate my article where my language is neither provided by Wiley? So is this still acceptable?
That's a good question. I'm not sure the answer to. I can find that out and we can share the answer after the fact. You could also contact the Wiley editing services directly and see if they have any special arrangements that they can make. But I'd be happy to look into that and we can share the answer afterwards.
Okay, yeah. I'll take note of that. So we've got the next question. I think it's a clarification question for the earlier question about Wiley editing service. So this person is asking, is the fee mainly for the option to publish as open access? I'm not quite sure what the person is asking, but I guess it's about the fees for Wiley editing service for open access.
Yeah, Wiley editing services and publishing open access are two separate things. So Wiley editing services is an optional set of services you can purchase to help prepare your article or promote your article after it's been published. So those are really standalone optional services that are available to purchase regardless of the journal you submit to or whether that journal is even a Wiley journal. Separately from that, there are some Wiley journals that are open access, which means there's a fee associated to make your article open access with those journals. There are those that are what's called gold open access, where they only publish open access articles and and to publish in that journal, there is a fee associated. There are other journals, the majority of Wiley journals, that are called hybrid open access, where it's an option to purchase that fee to make your article open access. But you can certainly just publish your article as subscription, which means that it would be published as a regular part of the journal and only those with access through their institution would be able to read the content. But if that doesn't make sense, please let me know and I'm happy to also answer via email as well or point you to some more resources.
Okay, great. So next is there a fee to use Wiley to find a journal?
Not at all. Wiley Online Library you can look at many different journals. If your institution does not have a subscription to that journal, you can still look through the journal web pages, read the author guidelines, look through the free issue, submit to the journal, and all of our resources around finding a journal, tips on how to do that, the tools around doing that on wileyauthors.com, all of those are free as well.
Okay. So there is this question, how can I see time to first edition for Wiley journals?
That's another one that can vary really widely. Some journals share that information and some do not. So if there's a specific journal that you're interested in and you don't see that information listed on their author guidelines, I would recommend emailing the editorial office and asking them, and they should be able to tell you.
Okay, so we have got another one. How long and what are the manuscript criteria accepted by Wiley? Does Wiley have a relationship with Scopus?
So those are two separate questions. So Scopus is an indexing service that we do certainly share content with. So Scopus does index Wiley journals. As far as the manuscript criteria, that Wiley publishes over 1,600 journals, and that criteria can differ from journal to journal. So I recommend taking a look at the journals that we publish in your subject area. You can do that on Wiley Online Library by searching for a subject area and looking through the journals, and you can get a sense of the different manuscript criteria for the journals that you're interested in.
Okay. So there's another question. Does Wiley journals require to detail why a manuscript was rejected? Do we detail why a manuscript is rejected?
Yes, generally, if a journal rejects your manuscript, they will tell you in the rejection letter why it has been rejected to help you either resolve the issue or find a new journal. If it's been through peer review, they'll also share that peer review feedback with you.
Okay. So is there an average time for review? And is there a way to track the process in the journal? Example, if the process is taking too long, is it okay to contact the editor to see where the article is at?
Yes, it's definitely okay to contact the editor to ask for, or the editorial office to ask for a status update on your article. The time for peer review can vary significantly by subject area or by journal. It can depend on how quickly they were able to find reviewers, how long those reviewers are taking to review the manuscript, so it can be really quite variable. So I would definitely recommend, if you're feeling like it's taking too long and looking for an update, to contact the editorial office. In some of our journals that publish with our under review service, you can track your manuscript through peer review. And I believe in Scholar One, you should be able to see a high level view of where it is. But if you have a question, definitely contact the editorial office and ask for some more information.
Thank you. There's another one. It says, with journals not charging publication fees, is there a chance that published articles can be shared as well, considering that access to these now comes for a fee?
Yeah, so if you publish an article in one of our subscription journals, then you can share your article using our article share functionality. So that's within the author services dashboard. You can generate a sharing link and share that with peers, colleagues, put it on your social media accounts. You can use that link to share it as widely as you'd like. Otherwise, anyone that doesn't have access to that link would be able to access your article either through their institutional subscription or through purchasing one-time pay-per-view access on Wiley Online Library.
Okay, and then we've got another one that's asking, what is the minimum to the maximum first-time decision of Wiley journal?
I wish I could give you a minimum to a maximum, but it really varies so significantly by journals that it's really hard to generalize, and particularly by subject area. Some subject areas move a lot faster than others. So I would, take a look at the journal, and if they don't share that information publicly, then contact them to see if you can get that information.
Okay. So, does Wiley accept a review article?
That really depends on the journal. Some journals publish review articles alongside research articles. Some journals publish review articles exclusively. I would recommend looking at the subject area that you're interested in and checking through what journals are in that subject area and what they accept. It should be within their author guidelines as well as within their aims and scope.
Okay. And do we have a choice to get reviews by the authors?
I am not sure exactly what that means. When you submit, it generally does go through peer review, and you can, in many cases, suggest peer reviewers if that's what you're referring to. But yeah, almost all of our journals will send your article out for peer review.
Okay. So we've got another one. Is Wiley linked with Web of Science master journal list?
Yes, most of our journals are indexed by the Web of Science, so you should be able to see and search through Wiley journals within Web of Science.
Okay, great. For now, I don't have any other questions coming in. We can just wait for a couple of seconds to get people to put in their questions. So in the meantime, there's the handout section, and you can actually download the handouts of the presentations and other resources that we've uploaded, you know, for your future reference as well. Okay, let me see if there's anyone or any other questions coming in. Feel free to put through your questions in the questions pane. Yeah. Okay, we're not getting any more questions. Definitely, you guys can connect with Elizabeth. Her email's on the presentation, so you can reach out to her. You know, if you have sent in your questions and we haven't really been able to answer those, you can always reach out to her. Okay, I see a couple more coming in. So, Elizabeth, so what is the main reason for desk rejections for Wiley journals in general?
It's hard to generalize that because it can vary so much, but I would say the main reason is that the article that the journal has received is out of scope, so it's not within the subject areas or requirements that they publish. So that's why it's really important to check the author guidelines before you submit, and to read the aims and scope of the journal to make sure that what you're submitting is within line with the subject matter that they publish.
Okay. And can you search journals by your field, for example, humanities and, you know, by subject areas?
Yes, if you go to onlinelibrary.wiley.com, you can see the subjects that we publish and click through at a high level or search for specific terms.
Okay, so how does plagiarism detector work?
Oh, that is a good question. There is a plagiarism detecting software in many online manuscript submission platforms. ScholarOne Manuscripts has one, for example, where the editor can see a report of other published similar works using similar words or phrases. I think I can get some more information and send that through afterwards. But if you look up ScholarOne plagiarism detector, there should be some more information there as well.
Okay. Great. So what are the basic steps involved in starting a manuscript?
Once you have your research article written, if you need any help kind of preparing and forming that into an article, there are some resources on wileyauthors.com, so definitely check that out. Then the next step would be searching for a journal, so looking to see which journal you'd like to submit to, starting to kind of compare journals in your subject area and see which one would be the best fit, reading those aims and scope, reading the author guidelines, and then submitting them. But there are step-by-step guides on our website on wileyauthors.com.
Okay, so next, is there a time binding during manuscript transfer?
Typically, if you were going to transfer your manuscript, you would get that invitation and you would accept it, and then within the next 24 to 48 hours, you would get confirmation and just the information that you need to finish your submission at the new journal. So you'd go in and finish that submission and hit submit. Your manuscript files would have been transferred over, as well as any peer reviews. So that process would have been started for you, and then you would be able to hit submit and finalize it. But you can certainly do that last step on your own time.
Okay, so what exactly are Kudos and Get FTR services under promoting the article?
Kudos is a free promotional service. It is a website where you can share your article alongside resources. So you can put together kind of a package explaining your article and share that as widely as you'd like. It's a free service you can use. And if you're registered with Wiley Author Services, you also get access to an enhanced dashboard where you can see downloads of your article, see how successful those efforts are. So it's really a website designed to make sharing your article easier. Get FTR is a discovery service that Wiley is a founding partner of to make it easier for authors to discover research. So when you're using a discovery platform like Mendeley, you can see if you're logged in with your institution, you can see a Get FTR indicator directly on search results when you're looking for research, so you can see whether you have access through your institution or not. So yeah, Kudos is for sharing your research, whereas Get FTR is a service where we've partnered with discovery platforms to help make finding research a bit easier.
Great, that's good to know. So next question, if the journal is not DOI, I think double opt-in, is that right? I'm not sure what DOI is, but is the journal still valid or official?
Every journal that Wiley publishes, each article will have a DOI, which stands for Digital Object Identifier. So any article published with Wiley has a DOI, and that is how you can see that it is an official published work. If you are publishing with a journal with another publisher that does not have DOIs with their articles, that would raise a flag for me as potentially saying that those journal articles are not official and not registered with the DOI service, which would raise a bit of a flag for me. So yeah, all Wiley articles are published with DOIs.
Okay, so would that mean like it could be a predator journal?
Yeah, that is what worries me about the question. A digital object identifier is a persistent tag along with the article so that it always has a consistent link. It's always able to be found. It's registered with Crossref, which is a cross-publisher service to verify the authenticity of articles. So yeah, having your article published with a DOI is very important.
And before submission, can we write to editors with our abstract to know if it fits the scope of the journal? And will this avoid rejections after submitting manuscript?
Yeah, I think always the first step is to read the aims and scope, look through what you can access of the journal to see if your manuscript is the right fit. But if you're still not sure, reaching out to the editorial office is always a good idea.
Okay, we've got a few more questions. So is publishing open access going to be be the major trend in coming academic years? And if it's preferred over subscription articles from readers' point of view?
I would not say that it's preferred. I think some journals require open access, some do not, and both of those journals can be quality, highly respected journals. So I definitely would not say it's preferred. It certainly can give your article a wide reach because it's accessible by anyone. So that's definitely a big advantage with open access. I think the industry as a whole is moving towards more open access content for sure, and has been for many years. But there is still, I think, the subscription part of publishing will still exist for many years to come. But I can't speak to that definitively.
So, do we process the articles that are going to be submitted to current virtual meetings, workshops, or webinars?
I think that depends. If you have if a journal is publishing the proceedings from a virtual conference, then they might be accepting submissions for a special issue for that. I think it really depends on the journal that you're looking for and the conference and any copyright rules around that. So I think it's a really specific question.
Okay. So next one is, when submitting any research paper, do one needs to submit the code file or data in the paper? If yes, is there any specific format for the same or limitation to any statistical software used?
That would really depend on the journal and the subject area. So I would read the author guidelines for the journal that you're interested in to get that answer.
Okay, so I'll take note that you'll get back on that one. Okay. And I think back to the DIO subject. Does publisher have to provide the DIO, or the author have to get that? Cool.
Publisher will provide that. Every article that we publish is assigned a DOI, and we take care of that.
Right. And who is the provider of the DOI?
The organization that manages DOIs is called Crossref, but Wiley provides the DOIs for all of its articles.
Okay. Okay, I'm just looking through some of the questions and see if there's duplication and trying to group them together. Let's see. Why would authors go for open access publishing? Is there any benefit to the author?
Yes, when you publish open access, your article can be read and accessed by anyone all over the world. So it's an opportunity to extend the reach of your article.
Is there any way we could apply for any opportunities related to journals?
What was that? Could you repeat that?
Is there any way we could apply for any opportunities related to journals? I'm not too sure.
Is that if you're looking for, if you're looking to be on the editorial board or be a reviewer for a specific journal, then you can definitely reach out to that specific journal about that. If that was a question around a career at Wiley, then you can go to wiley.com and look at our open roles.
The next question is on plagiarism. Is plagiarism applicable for conclusion and findings or entire contents of the article?
When an article goes through a plagiarism check, they are reviewing the entire contents of an article, yes.
Okay. And is there any tools for developing graphical abstracts?
There is through our Wiley editing service, we have a service where a designer can design a graphical abstract for you. That is a paid service. Otherwise, I don't think we have any specific free resources around that, but there may be some additional tools out there outside of Wiley, so I would definitely take a look.
Okay. I've got one more. So normally how long, sorry, I'm just trying to paraphrase the question. Hold on. How long will the authors be informed of their articles, if their articles is accepted or not? And that depends, right?
Yeah, that really varies by journal and subject area.
Okay, so can we have peer reviews by online virtual platform interacting with reviewers?
Peer reviews typically do happen through the online submission system, and then those reviews are shared back with you and you can choose to respond. If you're talking about a more collaborative review process, some journals are experimenting with that, but it's not widely adopted yet. So for the most part, it happens within the online system where you receive the reviews after the fact.
Okay. Is there any specific plagiarism limit for Wiley journals?
I can't speak to that. It would really depend on the journal and the type of plagiarism that they're seeing in the article.
Okay. That was the last question for now. And let's see if there's any more coming in. So we've got about 8 minutes left. We can just see if there's a few more questions coming in, and then we can sort of wrap the session up. So as a reminder, there will be the session recording link that will be sent to you in the next 24 hours in a follow-up email. So do look out for that if you need to look at the video again for future reference. That will be helpful for you. So we've got a question that has come in. Excellent. And okay, what is the average time for the first time decision? I think you've answered that previously, right, Elizabeth? But maybe you can just repeat that for the benefit of this person who asked.
Yeah, it's really variable by journal and by subject area.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, maybe Elizabeth, is there any last tips or that you'd like to share?
Questions after the fact, please feel free to contact us in this on the screen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, thank you for listening, and I hope it was helpful.
Yes, great. So thank you for joining us today. We really have a very good interactive session. Sorry, I just see one more question that has come in, and then we'll just last question for the session, and then anything else, can just email Elizabeth. So where can one find information related to any specific journals like author guidelines and more?
That is all on Wiley Online Library. So that's onlinelibrary.wiley.com, or you can just Google Wiley Online Library and you can search for journals by subject or look up specific journals and see all that information.
Yep, so do visit us on Wiley Online Library and get more information. So thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Just be in touch if there is any question. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. It's late for you. And yep, have a good day, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.